Good morning, welcome to Len Tarot. It is the last day of September, the 30th, and it's a Tuesday. Let's get going into our reading. So starting out our day, we have Three of Swords. Our conflict today is Seven of Swords. And as the day progresses, we have Eight of Pentacles. So starting out with the Three of Swords and the Seven of Swords as our conflicting energy for the day. Three of Swords is really, this is a deep puncture. We can remove the swords, but it is not without pain and grief. And this this could be a stand-in for grief, for heartbreak, for an ending. But whatever it is, this speaks to a very deep pain, psychic pain, could even mean physical pain, that we, depending on what's resonating with you, that, something from our past that we're having trouble moving on from, or a much fresher so-called wound as well. With this Seven of Swords coming in, traditionally that can be either someone who is deceiving you in that they are stealing if we think of swords as a card of clarity and forthrightness and action, somebody is stealing that energy from us in this depiction. But this could also be a self-sabotage or a feeling of we are getting away with something that we shouldn't be doing. But notice here that this crow is stealing three swords. So there's three swords penetrating here. And then this crow, so immediately the motif coming to me is that this crow has removed these three swords. Or the grief that we're experiencing as a result of the three swords that we have obtained in a way that maybe is not on the up and up. So whatever resonates there. But I definitely see a more self-sabotage picture here. And the conflict is that we can actually remove these swords with, and should, in fact, move on from this pain, whatever it is. So I think if imagery is helpful to you, consider the fact that this crow is flying away with the swords as though they have been removed and that we are moving on to another place, regardless of the context for how those swords hurt us, or were that we took, or other people that we hurt, any of that. Think about that next place that this crow is going to, regardless of the circumstances around that journey. So the oracle card that came through with this Three of Swords was this activity card. Traditionally, this is about work. Notice the three bees on this flower that match our three swords here. So the message here, bees can sting, but bees are also a vital part of our ecosystem. So I think this speaks to pain that can be useful to us as, teaching us things, teaching us how to cope with hardship. Coping itself is a very important part of getting through our challenging day-to-day lives. So again, the signal here is that even though it stings, there is still something to be learned that is beneficial to our overall metamorphosis here. The hummingbird in this activity card is all about, seeing new opportunities, and carry, embracing carry forward movement. So activity generally, this card is related to work. So if there is a work situation that has been really painful, that may be what's speaking to here, but we can look more broadly just at generally our actions in the world. And, all of this speaks to a very much a letting go energy as we start our day. The Seven of Swords came in with the Metamorphosis card here. There is a lot of flight in the way these two cards are working together. Not only this crow carrying away the three swords, but this butterfly. So as I said before, the focus here is this crow is on to the next thing regardless of the circumstances of their flight. So that is the important thing to remember here. You are undergoing a great change that may feel very difficult and may be about letting go of painful things, but the important thing is that flight, is that movement forward, and having the bravery, embracing that ability to change along with circumstances. For as the day progresses, we have Eight of Pentacles, and this can speak to a lot of things. It can speak to someone who is very diligent about their hard work, about removing distraction, about even contributing to a greater whole. It can also speak to perfectionism and that nose to the grindstone, but at the expense of other things in our lives, other joys in our lives, because the Pentacles, traditionally is not only about money, but about, the legacy that we're setting, our value systems. It could also mean just being too rigid. This crow has a very limited worldview, even though that worldview has achieved material success for them. The way that this card is described for this tarot deck is that, the crow has deliberately removed itself from a crowd. But if you notice, what's here is 3 crows. So we have a very clear energy of 3s in the reading today. So think about how we have perhaps taken this sense of heartbreak or of achievement that has maybe been procured through us shutting people out or even hurting other people, or even achievement through people having hurt us and we've sort of made things work. It also has created a barrier. That's what I'm seeing here. So that's something to be mindful of is if you have an opportunity to not isolate yourself going through today, then I would seek out others. And I think remove yourself from a busyness if it's not serving you today. With the Eight of Pentacles came in this gift card, which is again finding that childish energy, looking at the small things around us that give us joy. And the key here, as children can be fascinated by the strangest things or the simplest things that adults might overlook. So that's the key here too, is like we're kind of widen your vision of how things are or how things need to be, and see things in a slightly different light today. So for the overall message, we have this Strength card. And so notice here there are 7 flowers in this lion's mane, and that is in conjunction with the 7 of Swords. And immediately we are able to take swords that can puncture, that can harm, if we don't use them, if we don't channel them correctly. And here we have actually channeled these swords into beautiful flowers. And I'll call it back to, again, these bees are pollinating an entire ecosystem. So ultimately the message for today with this Strength card is, the phrase I came through was be gentle. So there are ways that we can take our heartbreak or even the pain that we have caused others and use it for good and channel it towards something that benefits a greater whole. So think about what that could be for today. But the message is not only be gentle with others, but be gentle with yourself. The Oracle card that came through is this Alliance card. And that is really about, this is a card of having needs met, traditionally through other people. It kind of stands in as a symbol of marriage in this case, but this is, ultimately about union. So ultimately, whatever your needs are, and those needs may have you angry, may have you in a lion energy, a roaring energy. But be gentle with those needs, but also be gentle with other people. The call here is to, in order to heal from heartbreak, we often have to attempt to understand, forgive ourselves too, whatever's resonating there. But ultimately, the Strength card is about finding that balance between our inner roar and also our ability to tame the beast within or the beast in other people through listening, through observing, and through almost letting go of fear as well. And that's how we can create an ecosystem that works for everybody. A lot of great synchronicity between all these cards today. I hope that's helpful. Have a wonderful Tuesday and speak soon.